Welcome to another episode of Tangled Rights. I'm one of your hosts, Justin W. Wilson, Esquire.
Episode 41. I'm Shane D. Cox, Esquire. This is not legal advice. Consult your local attorney. We are attorneys, but we are not your attorneys unless we already are and you're listening to this. But
In which case, thanks.
yeah. All right. So I have a new podcast studio, as you can see.
Do we?
This is our office. I've got my hats behind me. We're going to work on the displays a little bit. This is a work in progress. So things will change over time. And we're looking for new signs, new signage. But this is exclusive to us. So
New sponsors.
New sponsors, yeah. Why not?
Feel free to sponsor.
Yeah. So welcome. We still have our estimated Austin here. No microphone today, so don't make any comments, Austin. And we're here. We're here to last. We're here to stay. Okay?
We're in it to win it, as they say.
All right, Justin, you know nothing about what we're going to talk about today. You've been busy.
And that's different from how?
Usually I'll tell you a few things, okay?
No, we didn't talk about anything. I'm getting ready for a gaming control board hearing. Going to go win that, hopefully. Head court. It's just been a long fucking week.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, it's been a long week, man.
There's a local story.
Love those.
You know Court Marshal Randy from Michelle Levitt's courtroom, okay? Has to do with him. Did you see this?
No.
Okay.
Is that why he shaved his mustache?
No. He had facial hair. When did you see him last? Were you there recently?
This week, yeah.
You were there this week?
Yeah.
So
I had him on that honorable discharge from probation.
Okay.
Remember our boy?
Yes. All right.
Who is lucky that he got arrested when he did. Otherwise,
Yeah.
he would have got a fucking ice hold.
Yeah.
I told him he needs to fix that. I was like, bro, you need to marry her.
Yeah. Well,
All right. Quick immigration tip for those of you who may be facing immigration issues. If you've been with a girl for 20 years, been in the United States for 20 years, have a family, whole house life, you're a supervisor at a nice firm, company, whatever, just get fucking married. Just do it. Just pull the trigger so that you don't get deported and have to lose your entire life and family.
yeah.
Talking to you and you know who you are.
You can go protest whatever, but legally speaking, we're just trying to help you out.
Yeah.
Not have those issues.
Like, just get married, dude.
if you can avoid them.
Anyway.
Can't change who's elected president or anything like that. So, all right. This is a local story of a local pimp. Okay. All right. Yeah. Young kid. Like in his early 20s.
Not a lawyer pimp.
No.
Not a gorilla pimp.
Nope. This is a kid. Story is he had a few girls that he had running around, teenage girls, under 18, well under 18. The family was being held out of court because during the process they had been so unruly. You heard about this?
Well, I was in court when it happened.
Okay. So tell me more of we didn't even plan this, but tell me more of your perspective.
My perspective is
The kid had braids.
he had braids. Well, so what?
Young kid looks super young,
24.
right? 24. Okay.
So I have some backstory on this because I talked to Randy and the other marshal that's in there.
Okay.
And so the kid's 24. He had a settlement conference with Ashley Sisolak as his special public defender.
Ashley says that was the story in the news. Is Ashley Sisolak, former governor daughter, represented him, and current governor's daughter was the prosecutor, Lombardo.
Yes.
So
Left versus right.
yeah.
So he's facing some pretty serious stuff, like tricking out a 13-year-old.
Yes.
Sex assault, whatever.
Very serious stuff.
Really serious. Like 35.
They're trying to get to his sentencing. Right
35
now.
to life, right? Like he'll never get out of prison. He'll probably, those guys become pin cushions, honestly, unless he's in PC the whole time. Anyway, settlement conference had an offer for 3 to 8. Rejected it. 3 to 8 years instead of 35 years to life years. Went to trial, got convicted. Supposedly it's because the guy's mom blew the deal up.
People never want to do time, never want to accept it. There was a list of his former attorneys. The issue was sentencing was ready to happen this week, but his family has caused such a scene, such a ruckus.
They're not allowed to be in the courtroom.
They are now being withheld from the courtroom.
Correct. That's what he told me.
And that was part of the hearing is they had Randy testify as to the problems that they've caused.
Because the judge has to decide. There's a Supreme Court rule that they get support of the family. They're allowed to be in there. You can't exclude them unless there's good cause. So they had to have a separate hearing.
And that's the news article, the separate hearing. Austin will put the video up on YouTube that we have linked here.
Richard Babb hides from our camera Tuesday morning. This is supposed to be the sentencing for the now convicted pimp, but his attorney says he plans on arguing for a new trial, leading to a delay. Babb faces at least 35 years in prison after a jury found him guilty of 10 counts last April. Prosecutors say he victimized 4 underage girls, exchanging marijuana for oral sex from a 13 and 14-year-old and sex trafficking 2 other teens. Longtime Deputy Marshal Randy Hawks also describes personal attacks.
I deem them to be a security risk. They called me things like that.
Instead of arresting the family, district court marshals told them to leave.
One of them told me, would tell me, I know where you live.
There was extra security for the jury and victims. This advocate alleged intimidation by Babb's brother.
He was almost like a mad dogging. He was staring directly at her.
Adam Vanderhayden, who withdrew from the case, describes this encounter with Babb's family.
I think one of them said, I'm going to kick your ass. They started calling me names, called a fraud, a liar, a thief. They followed me down the 14 flights of stairs, yelling at me down the stairs.
In an ironic turn of events, Ashley Sisolak, the daughter of former Governor Steve Sisolak, is questioned by prosecutor Morgan Lombardo, the daughter of now Governor Joe Lombardo.
His mom stopped me and said, "Oh, good morning, Mrs. Slack. So you park here?"
Yeah, they flipped out this time again. Like they started, I'm allowed to be in here, Your Honor, Judge Levitt, rah, rah, rah. Then they just kicked him out. And then I heard him call over the radio. And it's funny because we were talking about it because I asked him, I was like, what the fuck is the media in here for, man? Because anytime the media's in there, I ask.
You know something's going on.
I know something's going down. And so they told me. And then pretty much as soon as we were done talking, I went to sit down because, I'm standing at that podium that starts to the left. Randy's there, the other guy's there. And then I go to sit down and then I start hearing her scream. And then they're like, you got to get out of here. And then it gets on. We've got a disturbance, blah, blah, blah. They call it on the radio and then people are coming up.
Yeah, so they had the special public defender's office on there for a period. They said Marchese was on the case too. And then...
Fugazi.
Sure.
Fugazi.
Well, Marchese, Fugazi. And then currently Erickson, who is a good attorney, is on the case.
Part of the movie.
All right, well...
Whatever.
A lot of attorneys on the case. This morning I was in court and City of Henderson was trying to send a guy to jail. And the mom was freaking out in the back. Hey, can I say something? Can I say something?
No.
Parents are very, very involved in some of these cases. We have to draw that line of saying, the client is our client. We can talk to you, whatever they tell us to say to you. But if that relationship gets too far, if they tell us not to talk to you, we can't tell you. We'll tell you what's publicly available.
If your lawyer tells you to shut up, maybe you should.
Yeah.
If at your sentencing, your lawyer says, let me speak, because he knows you're going to dig yourself a fucking hole, and then you do it, you don't get to cry at him and yell at him in the hallway afterwards when you speak, and he specifically told you not to.
I wonder if there's something specific about that. Oh,
I don't know.
I don't think so. All right.
Probably not. This is just general legal advice.
All right. I wanted to talk about a story you might have heard of, Justin. Gabby Petito. Maybe when I give you the details, you'll know what it is.
Gabby Petito is the one that was killed in a U-Haul van, and the guy found it because he was going through GoPro footage. He saw like a shoe or something, so they go back to the location. That one?
Something like that.
The boyfriend shoots himself outside of a campfire or some shit.
You're getting the
They
stories.
made a documentary. They made a documentary about it recently.
There's a new Netflix special that's just out.
That's the one.
That I watched all of. So we'll talk about the story. There's a lot of legal stuff here. So I'll go through it. Well, Austin didn't know the story, so I'll briefly remind our viewers. Gabby was not a very popular YouTube personality or Instagram personality, but she was a young, cute blonde girl.
Also us.
Yes, something like that. Justin, yeah,
I'm
maybe
blondish.
you can pull it off.
You're young, cute looking.
So they're from... Her and her boyfriend.
That's us.
Her and her boyfriend met in Long Island, New York. Okay?
Dude, keep going.
And I'll insert a hat here. All right, we didn't stay too far in America. The only place we have that we really talked about was New York. So I brought my Queens Kings hats from Queens, New York. Technically on Long Island, but I don't think most people consider it on Long Island. Only one season, the year 2000, the Queens Kings existed, and it's kind of like playing cards, so it ties into Vegas well.
Oh, I'll insert.
Okay, cool. Thank you. All right, so Gabby and her boyfriend meet in Long Island shortly after high
Did they
school.
meet at Bordy Barn?
What?
Did they meet at Bordy Barn?
Where's that?
It's in Long Island.
They met at high school.
It's like a fucking Guido party. It's fucking ridiculous.
No,
you
they
go
met
there and you throw up and you fight people.
They met at high school. Okay, the boyfriend's name, what was his name? I heard this a million times on the stupid show.
Austin Alvarez.
No, it wasn't Austin Alvarez. Oh, gosh, look up the name. Look up the name and remind me. Anyway, her boyfriend looked a lot older than he was already balding. Gabby and him, balding, that's you. Gabby and him decide to move to Florida. No, who the heck are you talking about?
No, there ain't no Jackson Huffman. No, it is. Jackson Huffham.
No, Brian
Laundrie. That's right.
Brian Laundrie.
But Jackson Huffham did pop up.
Gladys can hear us. Gladys can hear us because she just texted me. Brian Laundrie.
Shut up.
I watched this whole thing. It was like 3 hours long.
Anyway, no, but here's the thing is, so this is the funny thing. The ex-boyfriend before this guy, Jackson Huffham, was talking obviously. His girlfriend.
Yeah, he's part of the story. He was the ex-boyfriend. He had received a call from her. Okay, anyway, they moved to Florida together, and then
how is this back in the news, dude? There's so many fucking articles about
because it's in Netflix. When it gets on Netflix, that's why it comes up again.
They were on fianced,
deep,
not just boyfriend and girlfriend.
Well, when they moved their boyfriend girlfriend, then they get engaged in Florida. All right, and Gabby was a free spirit, and she wanted to go on a van trip with Brian.
Yep.
Okay, so they agree to do that. Brian's on board, or seems like he's on board then. The thing he's not on board with, and maybe might have upset him and pushed him to his limit, is he didn't want it documented. He didn't care about the YouTube, Instagram stuff, her always being on her phone, maybe. So I don't know what you're looking at, but you're making a face.
Well, like I don't want to be on the internet, so I'm going to murder you. I don't get how we get from that to this.
There's more to it.
I did see something on Instagram recently. It was a reel. It was completely random, and it wasn't the guy defending the murderer. It was some internet personality, but he was saying that it makes more sense now. And I didn't get it at the time. I thought he was just making a joke. He's like a comedian, but I'm guessing you're about to tell me that there's some shit here that Gabby did.
No. Okay, so of course there's got to be some issues more than what people put on social media. People put things on social media that make them lives look perfect or their relationships look perfect when they're really not behind the scenes.
That's not ours.
Very common.
Ours is perfect.
Me and you?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, we yell at each other on.
I've never yelled.
Okay.
I've never raised my voice.
Ever?
I've bitched at you, but I've never yelled at you.
Okay. Distinguish. Okay. Got it.
After the podcast, I'll show you what you
All right. In this soundproofed room that we have,
kind of.
Gladys can hear us, obviously.
Gladys, no one cares.
Thank you, Gladys, for the text reminding us of Brian Laundrie's name. Correct. So they're going through, seeing the sites, going through Utah, Wyoming, Montana, all these different places.
Those are really nice states. Beautiful.
One thing that comes out is in Utah, there is a domestic dispute. Okay. The police get a call and that says, "Hey, we see a guy slapping his girlfriend in a van." Okay, that is the call.
Not a good
seeing the guy slap girlfriend. That is the 911 call that comes through. What is related to dispatchers versus what's related to cops sometimes is a little different here.
Mm-hmm.
But cops see him. They're kind of driving erratically, pull him over. Gabby gets out of the vehicle, is super emotional. And she kind of takes the blame for it and says, I wasn't being nice. I did hit him. So she and he's got a scratch on his face. Brian's got a scratch on his face. She looks like she has something, but you can't kind of tell in the
that
angle.
usually results in the woman going to jail.
It's on the left side of her face. Okay. Mm-hmm. And she's like looking at the police officer. She's sitting in the police officer looking to her right. Mm. So he points something out. It's like, hey, that looks fresh. But she does say that she started it. Mm. So the parents make complaints of this later that, it's him, but it's hard to say. Cops are in a tough position when these calls come. They don't know who starts things.
Sure.
Right. And
DV calls for service are traditionally very dangerous. Police officers.
We try to we try to be neutral on these because it could be that the female started or the male started it in, a male-female relationship. Typically, we see it as maybe the guy starting things.
Usually, that's the stereotype.
And maybe
right?
that's what really happened here behind the scenes. We don't know.
Yeah.
And the 911 call is what they're, hung up on is he was slapping her. And it wasn't he slapped her once, it's he is slapping her. So kind of a continual thing, possibly.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, they separate them. They let her take the van and kind of go off. And he gets a hotel at like a domestic violence abuser hotel spot. It's not clear.
Wait, what? Is that how they market it? Like, hey,
no. It's
you
like
beat the shit out of your girlfriend. We got the spot for you.
It's where police put people up that are
right. No,
victims of
they
domestic
do
violence.
lots of I don't know what you want to call it, but it's like a cooling off place.
And that's you hear him talking on body worn camera video about what they're going to do.
Yeah.
And there's a female officer that said, "I'd rather get in trouble for something I did rather than didn't do."
Smart.
So they didn't no charges in place, but they separated them.
They did what
told
they
them,
can.
"Do not text each other tonight." That's not a lawful order or anything, but that was
people don't know that. Though.
the advice. They don't know that. They think when the cop tells you that, that's what you got to do.
You got to listen, or
So
else
I don't know if they do actually link up. We don't really know. And
sneakily.
yeah, or just get back together for that night and not really respect what the cops tell them because you can easily just sneak out. Yeah. So
Not me.
that story comes out later about this domestic dispute. There's no like real big marks on anyone. He's got like little finger scratches on him.
Defensive wounds, if you will.
Yeah, potentially. So, fast forward, mom hears a little bit about this because Gabby calls and just says, "Hey, I'm in trouble. There's this domestic dispute." Doesn't sound like she went into all the details, and
Sure.
It sounds like Gabby kind of hid some of the issues and put on social media, everything's great, fantastic.
Of course.
There is one small clip that they had in the documentary outside of a grocery store.
You've seen the whole thing?
And I watched the whole thing.
Is it just like an hour or what is it?
It's 3 episodes that are like 50 minutes long. So it's
Oh,
not
so
too
bad.
long. Where he gets out of the van and slams his door. And they're trying to find something that's telling, right? And I'm like, man, I've slammed doors before. That doesn't mean I'm ready to kill somebody. So
Shane wanted to talk to you about your door slamming.
If you're looking, so
There have
it's
been
not
signs,
necessarily
Shane.
evidence. And they kept showing like clips of her YouTube stuff, like, oh, he's going to show something where he gets angry, but you don't really see anything either.
And it's I find
but
these,
it keeps you on the hook, like, oh man,
Of
he's going to
course.
show some kind of signs of killer tendencies.
it's
or
almost
something
like
that.
these documentary filmmakers are good at creating suspense. And,
Yes,
but I've always found it kind of funny that after the fact, people armchair quarterback and then like look at something like that, like the doors getting slammed. And they're like, oh, we should have seen the signs. And it's not like the little kid who's fucking torturing cats, right? That has a book drawing himself shooting the school up, and everyone's
Yeah.
like, "Oh, we didn't know."
Yeah.
Bitch, you weren't paying attention.
They
But,
talked
like,
about
slamming
him-
a door. How many times have you everybody knows you really, really love your wife. And I don't
today
doubt.
did I yell like in the car because I was upset about work stuff? Yeah, of course.
But how many times have you ever gotten into an argument with your wife and yelled at her, raised your voice even, or slammed a door when you were leaving? Like,
not really with my wife ever.
okay, what about your kids?
Oh, yeah. Or
Okay.
I'm just upset about
Whatever.
work or something.
Yeah, and they
I slammed
push
a
the wrong
door.
button. Sure,
I've slammed
everybody's
a door.
done it.
I've punched something, like
Oh, you got me there. Never done that.
like a couch cushion or something.
No.
Like,
Well, maybe a couch cushion, but I watched a kid in 7th grade punch a wall. He was super pissed at a teacher.
Never
And it was
punched a
one of
wall.
those walls where the bricks, like they're laid out and the grout is not flush, so they're uneven. He hit that fucking thing and his knuckles just went. And I was like, bro, I'm never
That's
punching
enough.
anything
Yeah.
ever. Like the idea disappeared anyway. But the point is that we've all done that. So I don't think that
there's
it's stupid.
And there's positive releases too, right? Like,
Well, we're animals, dude. Like, it's okay to get pissed. It's just not okay to let your anger get the better of you and do something that's violent or inappropriate, as has deemed by the Nevada revised statutes and the law under God and man.
yeah, all right, or federal law,
Whatever. Maritime law. Maritime law. I'm traveling. I'm not driving.
No soft sit stuff today, please. So the other thing they said, which showed that he was evil or whatever, is his art would be pretty dark in nature. he'd have some drawings that talked about, you know, murder, death, whatever. And it's like that.
Have you ever
in and
listened-
of itself?
Have you ever listened to a rap song? There's literally a song called "Murder on My Mind."
Yeah. So
And that guy actually murdered people. I'm pretty sure he's in prison now.
that's free speech. That's always protected.
Yeah, well, so is his art.
as long as it's not you're actually planning a crime of some sort.
It only matters if you actually commit a crime and then afterwards they try to
Right.
pinpoint.
So
He probably listened to Marilyn Manson and played Call of Duty.
So then they had a period of time where they separated. He went back and then he came back. Okay, so he went back to Florida. Brian went back to Florida to be with his parents.
Cooling off.
And then he came back and she was supposedly calling this ex-boyfriend who you named and saying, I want to break up with him. I want to break up with him. Or something that he heard, maybe he interpreted that as, oh, I got a chance with her again. Like, I think.
Hell yeah.
Or maybe he was the backup option that she's keeping on the hook. You know, who knows?
Whatever.
So,
Or maybe they were in love.
so shortly after he returns,
Star-crossed.
shortly after he returns is when Gabby isn't heard from again. Okay.
The new boyfriend.
No,
the old boyfriend.
Gabby's not heard from again
No, I know, but
by
shortly
anyone.
after he returns,
Shortly after Brian.
Okay,
Yes,
got it.
Brian returns. Gabby's not heard from.
Okay.
The mom gets text, you know, saying, "Hey, tell Harold to stop calling me," which was her grandpa, which she would never say. So she had kind of alarm bells going on, like, "What? Why
Yeah, you
would you
wouldn't say
call him
something
by
like
his
that.
first name? Not Harold, but some other name. Why would you call him by his first name instead of Grandpa or Gramps or whatever her special name
Or
was? For him?
Peepaw.
Whatever it is." So, and then she hears nothing. Nothing
What do you call
from
your
her daughter.
grandpa? What do you call your grandpa? Same.
So it wasn't abnormal for.
Used to. Still, I mean, when I talk about him, I still say grandpa.
I have grandpa, grandma. Yeah, I never.
I can't remember
anything
what
weird.
Bobby's grandma. Mimi. Which, whatever. Has nothing to do with her name. It's fine. It's whatever.
Okay. All right. So good sidebar. Always fun. Always fun. We're always having a good time here at Cox and Wilson.
I try to, and then you fucking shit on it. I'll keep my thoughts to myself. Sorry.
I'm getting to the fun legal stuff here.
All right, let's
that I
go.
wanna
Get
talk
to your
about.
boring legal questions.
Oh, but we got to tell the story. All right, so she goes missing. It wasn't abnormal for mom not to hear from Gabby for a period of time. It had been 11 days with no contact after that weird text.
Mm-hmm.
So then she finally decides, I'm going to call the cops and say that there's a missing person. She cannot do it in Long Island because that's not Gabby's primary residence. Can't do it where Gabby was last heard from because that's not her primary residence. So she does it in Florida. Okay.
Okay.
So makes a report in Florida. So Florida police go to the house of Brian's parents, where Brian and Gabby's address was. Okay.
Okay.
And they go to the door and knock, and the parents answer and say, yeah, we don't have any information. You need to talk to our lawyer. Okay. Well, do you know where Gabby is?
Sure don't.
You need to talk to our lawyer.
Talk to my
Is your
lawyer.
son here? Yes, but he's not going to talk to you without the lawyer. So alarm bells kind of go off. What is going on? Like,
Say that's not suspect.
where's
at
this
all.
girl? The van is in the driveway. Okay.
It was his van.
It is in her name. She is the
Oh,
owner of the van.
shit.
She's the listed owner of the van. So they know something weird's going on. You hear the phone calls from Florida police to New York police saying, yeah, he's here. They say she's not, and the van's here. They say, okay, well, who's the owner of the van? So they decide Gabby's the owner of the van. Her parents have reported her missing. So they say, all right, we're taking the van. So they take the van. Doesn't seem like there's anything incriminating in the van. They don't find anything.
Okay.
Later, it's revealed she's not murdered in the van. She's murdered outside in the woods. So
Yes.
people are, then this goes huge on social media. And that's always a question, why certain cases go huge on social media. And there's kind of a backlash. Hey, why is the white girl with blonde hair, cute little girl, why is she going popular on social media? She wasn't a big star or anything like that. Her videos had less than 200 views, something like that. And then it catapulted to
I mean, I
millions
think
of
a
views.
lot of these kind of stories where it's like boyfriend, girlfriend, this kind of shit gets popular. But I do recall seeing something where there was a a very similar story, but with different ethnicity people that didn't get traction.
Yeah, and that was the
everybody
comparisons people
freaked
made.
the fuck out. It's
That's the
like,
comparisons people made. I don't know, certain things just for some reason are like fire on social media.
Yeah.
Or they just take off. Like, and I can't explain it. I don't know why people seem to pile on things that just, one joke that you keep making the same joke over and over again. And
I would just argue that like it's all weird to obsess over.
yes.
Doesn't matter who they are.
So the point was they have no idea where she is. So there's kind of a search going on for her. Hey, has anybody seen this girl? Where is she? Where is she?
On a milk carton?
I don't know if they do that.
No, I mean,
anymore.
I'm serious. Do they do that kind of thing anymore?
I don't know if they do milk cartons anymore.
That used to be the joke, right?
Yeah. So meanwhile, there's people kind of picketing outside of the laundry's home with the parents saying, where is Gabby? Where is Gabby? The news is there pretty much around the clock because this is just going nationally, just huge for whatever reason. So they know that Brian's in the home, but they don't have any probable cause for anything because there's no body.
I don't know. I think they got probable cause for some stuff to say like she's straight up missing and you have her fucking van at your house.
Yeah.
No explanation. That's probable
But
cause.
probable
to do some
cause of
looking around.
what crime?
Probable cause to believe she might be in the house. Look around, do a welfare check. And while you're looking around, you do a plain view exception to see if you see any droplets of blood, which they wouldn't have found
to go
anyway.
into a home, you need a warrant, right? Unless it's exigent
I'm
circumstances.
saying I think you get the warrant in that situation if you put in a request for it, especially in Florida. They love warrants. There.
Well, they didn't give them. Like, I don't know if they didn't seek one or it wasn't granted or what.
That's
but
wild.
There has to be a crime, right? There has to be a specific crime that somebody's suspected of.
I understand that, but like
there has to be probable cause that they committed that crime. She could just be hiding,
or
right?
probable cause to believe that there's evidence of a crime.
Of what crime? Murder?
Well, a person's missing.
Kidnapping?
Person's missing and you have their vehicle that's not at their house. I think you get the vehicle at least. It's hers. Let's see what's in there.
They took the vehicle. Yeah, they didn't find anything. So they took the vehicle.
Okay.
They took the vehicle like first night.
Okay, good.
Because they searched records, found it was hers.
Yeah, you're not
only
keeping,
hers.
You're not keeping that.
You
there,
know,
Brian.
so she got it, which, I mean, they got it. The police got it.
Sure.
Didn't find anything implicating him. No crime happened in the car anyway. So, all right. So fast forward and police are making contact with parents again. They say, Brian's not here.
Okay.
So I'm guessing at night sometime, Brian snuck out to go hiking, supposedly, in Florida. They're north of like Tampa area, and it's kind of swampland, swampish. So he went there to hike,
Yoink.
supposedly. Yoink some swamp puppies, right? Like you say.
Love that.
So he's,
Shout out Fishing Garrett.
we talk about swamp puppies so much because there's every story involves Florida. Like
Let's
this
go
one,
to Florida
yet again.
Dude. Firm pays for us to go to Florida, catch some fucking Burmese pythons in the Everglades, and put it on the pod.
Yeah, because this is a business expense, right?
Yep.
Of course.
Swamp puppies.
So fast forward now, Brian hasn't come home after a few days. He's missing, and Gabby's missing. Okay. So, yeah, suspicious.
Don't be suspicious.
So
Don't
they ask
be
parents,
suspicious.
what's the deal? You know, what's going on? Why aren't you telling us where our daughter is? Like, why aren't you giving us information? Obviously, you know something. If you're asking for, he needs a lawyer. So you know something's happened.
Yes.
Something's happened. So fast forward, there's a search for Gabby. And as you said, somebody does go look through their footage of them camping, and they find video of the camper van in a specific area on a specific date when she's last known to be seen. Okay?
Yes.
So the search starts there for her body. They are able to find her body, and as we know, she's found dead a couple days after Brian goes missing. Okay?
Yep.
So they do find her body, gives them probable cause for, doing warrants and searches and everything into Laundrie's home, right? Because at that point, there's a dead body. He's a suspect of that crime, last known person with her, probable cause to issue a warrant. Yeah, automatic there.
Correct.
So go in there, get a ton of documents in the house, and then they say, all right, well, let's try and find Brian. So his car is found at this park. His parents admitted that he was there, and that's where he went to hike because he likes hiking. He just wanted to get away. And so they do a search. but it had been flooded, so it was very hard to get around. And then the parents joined the search a couple days later, and guess who finds the backpack that Brian had left? His parents had found it when they started searching. Incredibly weird, right? And then his body is found not too far away from that, not by them, but by other people, but linked to them. So the evidence that comes out is incredibly interesting. The mom had written a note to her son that said on the outside, burn after reading, that said, I would do anything for you. I would hide a body for you. Yeah. So that's very suspicious.
Don't be suspicious.
Okay. And Brian's body's found. He had put a bullet in his head like a couple weeks earlier. It took him a while to find him. Okay. His body was partially decomposing. And he had written a note about the events. And he said that he did not mean to kill Gabby. She had fallen and gotten hurt. It was very cold. She was in pain.
She fell and got hurt.
So to put her out of her misery, then he used a rock to kill her. Okay. Yeah.
That makes
I'm surprised you haven't heard any of this. Yeah, a little bit.
That makes sense.
And so, but when they,
I'm not a doctor. Bash.
when they looked at when they looked at her body, they determined that she had died by strangulation. So, not consistent with this
I
story.
strangled her with the rock. I never said I hit her with it.
Yeah.
Duh.
So every one of these stories has these interesting details. It's what comes to light, and these Netflix specials are great because you do get to learn more and see like the details, and we get to learn criminally what's going on.
Yes.
The last super important part of this, okay? Gabby's mom and dad and their respective spouses, both stepmom, stepdad, respectfully, decide that they do not like the involvement of the parents, that there must have been something wrong. They file a civil suit against them for wrongful death and their involvement. So it comes out from the phone records that Brian, same day of the alleged killing, had called his parents. There are a few phone calls back and forth, had spent about an hour on the phone with his parents.
Mm-hmm.
And then his father immediately turned and called a Long Island attorney and had hired that attorney and paid that attorney $25,000. Okay? $25,000.
For what?
25. Yeah, exactly. So, Justin, I know you're not Long Island prices here, but $25,000 as an initial payment. Initial payment.
Murder charges.
Did the parents know that Gabby was dead?
They knew she was dead.
Okay.
Would be my speculation. Obviously, I'm speculating, which is not admissible in court.
Right.
But in the court of public opinion, the only one that matters are listeners and viewers. Yeah.
So
they knew she was fucking dead.
So people are questioning that $25,000 payment. That would be some kind of murder deposit. There's hardly any other charge that we would have somebody pay $25,000 straight up for, like as just an initial charge before even talking to them.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, we just signed a murder case and they didn't even pay us $25,000 before we even
not yet. Yeah.
I mean, that's,
so
someday they will, probably, hopefully.
So part of this case, I
love that.
I want to know the distinction, and I think a lot of people want to know the distinction here between an accessory to the murder versus accessory after the fact. How could they have been on the hook for suppressing evidence, but did they suppress anything really, or hiding the crime that had occurred?
Damn it. So accessory can happen in a number of ways. Specifically, if you encourage, aid, and abet, there's just a ton of things that a person could do to get another person to commit a murder. For example, if I told Brian that he needs to get rid of Gabby, she's a problem in the relationship, blah, 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 and he's like, I should kill her, and you're, oh, absolutely, drag her out there, with the vehicle out in the middle of nowhere, that's an accessory because you're assisting, you're aiding in the commission, even if you don't directly do it. Now, accessory after the fact, I don't think that would make them an accessory after the fact to the murder. It would make an accessory after the fact to crimes like lying to law enforcement or what am I not resisting? What's it called?
I don't know.
I'm an idiot. Blanking right now.
I don't know which one you're talking about.
Like, so when you interference, like you're interfering with the investigation, which when it's a felony, it becomes a felony. I don't think that makes him accessory after the fact. Now, if they helped him hide the body, like if he calls and he's like, hey, I just did this, what do I do? Okay, drag her out in the woods, bury her under a bunch of bushes, make sure nobody sees you, do it over here, like they look on a map. That's a different story, right? Because they're assisting with that.
And there's,
crime.
I mean, there won't ever be any evidence as to
No, it'll never come out unless they admit
what
it.
those conversations were, right? Nobody can testify as to what they said, and they can assert their Fifth Amendment right and not testify. So criminally, they're never pursued. Civilly, they are pursued, which becomes an interesting case as well, because there is a motion, or they move to take the deposition of this Long Island attorney, okay, of what the involvement is. The Long Island attorney objects to it. Brian's parents object to it, but the judge ultimately decides that yes, he gets to be deposed for this case, because what happened was he put out a press report, okay, saying, hey, we really hope we can find Gabby. You know, we believe she's out there somewhere. So the fact that he says something,
because you know where her body is, stupid.
He says something that kind of says, you know, the parents believe she's alive when they really know that she's not alive.
Well, when it's speculated, they know she's not alive, and that's what his testimony
Right. So
help uncover.
So his testimony was part of that. He ended up getting deposed, asked all the questions about all that, and eventually they settled the civil suit. I think $3 million, $2 million, something like that. The parents own some kind of
They got money.
mixer company or like vitamin mixer or something like that.
Vitamins.
Something weird. They owned some kind of
Vitamins
company.
are weird.
So they had some money.
I've also, I was thinking about it, never charged as a prosecutor, and also never seen charged accessory ever.
It's rare. We talked about that one that was out in Alaska where a kid in Indiana pretended to be really rich and asked his online girlfriend to kill somebody for $1 million.
Yeah.
He ended up getting charged just with straight murder, not accessory, because I don't know how their statute read, but actually taking part in it or requesting it, it can be different per state.
His hobby was moida.
Yeah. So
Adam Sandler.
we talked about that one a little bit.
Yeah.
This Gabby Petito one is super interesting. People are wondering why there's no criminal charges. We're not the Florida DAs. We're not the Florida Police Department. We don't know what evidence they really have. And
Not
what's
the Texas-
released,
Not the Texas Law Hawk. Couldn't tell you.
what's released to the public is just a little bit. When I go to search these things, you either need court records or these interviews like they have. And so you see phone records, but you don't know what the conversations are.
It would also help if I had seen whatever their statute is, because then I can kind of tell you what elements they need to meet, which is going to help dictate, what facts you would need, and you could kind of speculate what they'd be looking for with each specific witness in order to get them to that threshold of accessory, which I'm sure they were trying to get. I guarantee you that the police or whoever was like, hey, we want this. So I'm sure they put quite a bit of effort into it.
Yeah, well,
I mean, with all that national pressure, there's no way that wasn't happening.
yeah, it's a sad story that comes out of people being on high alert over domestic disputes, women not being with men who, treat them any less than they should be, right? So,
Well, nobody should be treated that way, man.
nobody should be hit. Yes.
No.
I guess without consent in maybe a contact sport style.
I was like,
Not
I was like, yeah, I mean, whatever you're into, I guess. But that gets to that point. I mean, some people are, into weird shit.
Yes. Yeah, I don't want to go there.
Oh, absolutely not.
No.
Why would we?
No, yeah. Okay. Listener question, Austin. We need one. So write one
Are
down
we
for
at
us.
an hour?
No. I'm just telling them to get ready.
Okay, get ready for that listener question. Sweet, sweet listener question.
All right. I had a recent podcast that I listened to that I want to talk about.
Okay.
Okay. This is in Ontario, Canada.
That's
Toronto is in there.
That's our hat, right?
No, not this week.
No, America's hat.
Oh, yes. They sit on top of America. Yes. This is a great one to talk about Canada because we normally don't. And USA is playing Canada in the Four Nations Cup today in hockey.
We already did that recently and beat the shit out of them.
We beat them, but now Canada went through the losers bracket to get to the final. America is already there. So final.
Yeah, well, boo the national anthem
tonight.
one more time and watch your players get their fucking shit pushed in before the bell even starts. The puck drops. Whatever.
I think we should tell our listeners about our little bet. We have a little bet going on, me and Justin.
It's not a little bet. It's a fucking serious bet.
We're going to have maybe a cop come in and loser gets tased.
Shane is going to get tased.
We have a bet. Maybe. We might both get tased.
We
have a bet on a case. This is just between us on a civil case.
Just between girls.
What we think that the defense is going to do, whether they're going to accept offers or not.
And I don't know, how the fuck did we get to tasing?
I don't know, dude.
Also,
we're stupid.
There's a detail we need to hammer out. We've already said it's going to be the probes. Do we want to be shot or do we want them just to tape the probes to our backs? I say let's go for the full amount.
Let's go. Yeah. What do they do? What do they do at police training? Because they tase them at police training,
both.
right?
They'll say taser, 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 and or they'll just tape it to them.
Okay, so
I think let's fucking get in there, dude.
I want to go first because I don't want to see your reaction.
Oh, you're gonna react way more poorly than me.
Yeah,
duh. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Sorry, we didn't tell you about this before.
There's no fucking way we're not filming it.
We always have great ideas.
Yeah,
we're yes.
We are not stupid.
Yes.
Not even a little bit.
Something like that. All right. So be on the lookout for that. The orange suit sucked.
Presently, nobody's getting tased definitively. It's possible, and it looked like yesterday that Shane and I were both going to get tased for different reasons. Because there's two people that are involved in the bet, so it's possible. It'll only be one tasing, if they both go one way. I'm not going to make you. I'm not going to make you get tased twice.
Yeah. I get you. But we have Justin has a cop buddy that's going to come, hopefully tase us.
Yeah.
You talked to him already?
Working on it.
Okay. So in Canada, in Ontario, a wild story came out of a girl by the name of Caitlin Braun. It's a podcast that just came out, and I listened to over the series of time. Caitlin was a girl in high school who didn't have a lot of friends and kind of created toxic relationships where she needed to have attention and love. Okay.
Don't we all?
So in high school, she would love being a caretaker. And then in turn, she would tell people that she was sick or have issues and she needed to be cared for. Okay.
She's got mental problems.
She has some mental issues. It progressed to where she would fake a pregnancy in order to get attention from people. Okay. And then after high school, in her 20s, she got on some doula groups. Okay. So a
doula like a
midwife helper.
Midwife thing. Yeah.
So doulas aren't medically trained, but they're there to assist in kind of
natural home births.
Natural home births. Yeah. Kind of, they're more spiritual connection to.
Yes, they have crystals instead of antibiotics.
They got all this stuff.
Essential oils instead of stitches. And chakras.
So
instead of EKGs.
Caitlin would hire a doula to kind of help her with pregnancy. This is during COVID.
She was not pregnant.
During the height of 2020, that is what comes out eventually, is that she was never pregnant during these. Caitlin would make up stories and say that she's pregnant through sexual assault. This is a baby of rape. And she would talk to the doulas and say,
Jesus Christ.
the doctors have told me I'm losing this baby and I need you to talk to me through having this stillbirth. Okay. Like crazy stuff. So it would all be on the phone because COVID, you couldn't go in person like it normally would be.
So I'm guessing hopefully some of this shit was recorded.
Yeah.
Everyone's safety.
No. The doulas normally wouldn't record any of this.
I mean, you think, but whatever.
So they didn't. So they would talk to her through it. And she, in order to start pregnancy, sometimes you have to maybe stimulate sexual arousal is kind of a tip for that. Yeah, I know. Sometimes nipple play.
Start pregnancy, or you mean start birth?
To start birth. Sorry.
I was like,
induction. Start
kind
delivery.
of, but like,
Start delivery.
I don't know why the woman has to be aroused for pregnancy to happen.
Sheesh. True. All right. So especially how she's saying it happened through sexual assault, but
yeah,
so they were very,
not touching that.
very careful in that instance of talking to her about that. And they said, oh, she was just really open about it. It was really weird.
Because she was so casual about.
So she was so casual about,
Yeah, but not everybody reacts the same, man.
Yeah, and that's how they couch it too. Everyone's different in that regard.
Yeah, you never know, man.
So that was one of the tips, though, that they're saying, like, this is a little weird. It progressed. She kept doing this over a period of years to new doulas. Okay.
Oh.
And so
she's like one of those that like she's got the thing and she just wants, okay.
It progressed to the point where it went back where you could have people in-house doing it. And so she would receive massages like.
That's creepy.
Because doulas, it's just, hey, what do you need? Oh, I'm just really tense. I need a massage. And she would maybe even start touching herself during these points too. Yeah, it got real weird. So then people in these doula groups started posting on their Facebook group saying, like, hey, I had this really weird experience
with psycho,
with this client, patient, whatever they call
not
them.
Not stoked about it.
So this progressed far enough where they said, hey, there might be something criminal here. So they turned it over to police, and police said, yeah, nah, like,
she's just nuts.
Just go after her civilly. Like, she was probably pregnant, whatever. And so they got enough like reports and got to a victim advocate who started taking it seriously because they had spent the phone calls hours and hours of their time.
Was she not paying them for this?
And she was not paying them for it. And I guess that's kind of a normal thing. I don't know how Canada works, if that's reimbursable.
Oh, because it's like universal health care, right?
No, they said that they were owed money. Some definitely did say that they were owed money.
That kind of goes against the liberal utopia that I've been pitched.
And hey, Justin, have you done work for people that you feel sorry for that don't end up paying you a dime,
Yes.
in criminal cases? Yeah.
Do I do work
Cone
for
of
people?
Shame over there.
Do I do work for people that I don't feel sorry for that don't pay me a fucking penny? Yes.
Dunce cap.
Am I still doing it? Yeah. Am I the dumbest person in the office? Yeah. Is my time useful? No.
All right, so cone of shame for Justin on this. But
sorry, bud.
It's the same situation where you're in it for a little bit and then it just snowballs, right? And this lady says she is going back to the hospital, and now they're telling me I have ovarian cancer and I'm gonna die. And told another lady she had to have a total hysterectomy, and she's on the phone with them for that. So
can't they like verify some of that shit? Like
she would actually go to the hospital. She would actually go to the hospital. She had like over 100 visits to the hospital over the course of a year. Yeah. So incredibly strange, unique story here. Caitlin Braun. I can't remember what the podcast is called. I should shout them out. And the podcast I wanted to talk about was The Con, Caitlin's Baby from BBC on all podcast streaming networks available now. The Con, Caitlin's Baby. Peace. But anyway, it gets far enough where she's actually criminally prosecuted for this.
It's crazy.
She gets some sexual charges for, her arousal stuff during some of these phone calls that's completely fake. So they ended up dropping everything on that. She ends up doing some time. She's on probation for a lot too. And just a really weird story.
That whole thing is fucking wild, dude.
So I don't really know what the point of this story is.
I mean,
be wary. We're always on high alert for
try not to be crazy.
Scam things.
Could you not just be crazy?
So,
if you are, go talk to somebody. Go see a psychiatrist, and don't masturbate at them.
And I think how it happened is she would,
unless that's part of their treatment.
Little by little, she was able to gain trust.
Yeah.
And just little by little, it's easier over the phone too when you can't see a person.
Yeah.
And they just sound so desperate.
And all you hear then is them breathing harder as you're talking to them about Lamaze or
and
whatever.
Usually,
huh? God damn it.
Usually we respect pregnant women, a lot.
Usually?
I'm saying usually. I
mean, pregnancy is a tough thing, and I am glad that I was born male, specifically so that I don't have to go through it, because it seems like it sucks.
Yeah, no, it definitely doesn't seem like a good thing.
Probably one of those. Well, it's definitely.
It's a good thing for the result.
It's probably the closest relationship two human beings can have to each other, and it's one of, like, not to get all weird about it, but it's like it's a very beautiful experience, right?
Sure,
Like,
of course.
there's a lot of things. Like, I remember the first time I saw my son kick through the stomach, and it's like, what the fuck? It wasn't even his foot. It was like the back of his head, because this lump the size of a coffee cup sticks
It
out.
looks like an alien,
and I'm
too.
like,
It's
what
kind
the
of
fuck
weird.
is
huh?
happening? But then there's also, first trimester where,
They're just sick and throwing up.
or they fart constantly.
Oh, wow.
Pregnancy farts. It's a thing.
Calling
Google it.
people out, huh?
Google it. I mean, well, I'm just saying, like, it's a thing.
You've heard of it. I've heard of it.
Yeah. So there's other things that suck, but by and large, it's not something I'd want to go through. Even though I know that, my son and his mother have a much closer bond than I will ever have with him.
Yeah.
In a different way.
It's
right?
different, right?
On your deathbed, they're probably not calling for daddy. You see all those movies or
Right.
whatever, and you hear the stories. The last words they said was mama.
Yeah. No, it's definitely a special relationship that
Sure.
we won't ever
That being
understand.
said, doesn't sound to me like,
Be on high alert.
yeah, it doesn't sound like they did anything criminal. I mean, unless there's like some kind of exploitation or fraud or,
Yeah.
or like you say, if the arousal thing though, you could get them with that, like,
And that's they got charged, but none of those stuck.
lewd and lascivious conduct,
Yeah. So
or open and gross lewdness or whatever, because it's about prurient interests and like in encouraging arousal or some shit.
yeah,
like that.
it got dropped. And these are Canadian laws, which I know even less than, some of these other states.
Punishment from that is like, I think they rub you down in maple syrup and let a moose lick it off,
Sheesh.
right?
Well, she was in.
They have rough tongues, right? Like cats, but real big.
I don't know. She was actually in jail for like 10, 11 months, I want to say. I remember. And then got released.
Hit with a hockey stick.
Hit with a hockey stick.
Public,
Sure.
I believe that they do.
She had to
public-
say some not nice things. She had to hear people say swear words at her.
They weren't even polite
And
to
they
her.
didn't even have to say sorry to her.
They didn't say sorry.
Yeah. That was
Sorry.
her punishment. That was her punishment.
Yeah, but the real thing here is Canada. Get fucked. You're gonna get it right here, buddy.
Okay. How much time?
Oh, we can wrap it up.
Okay, that's fine. Our listener question, can I be friends with my lawyer during a case that I have with them? Like, can I hang out with them outside of court or their office?
Yes.
Or is there a statute with attorney-client relations that forbids this? There are certain relations that are forbid, yes.
Yes. And generally speaking, and I'll jump this and you can fill in, please. You can be friends with your lawyer. It's actually encouraged, I think, to develop depending upon the kind of case, the more crazier the case, or like the more in depth it is, the more time you have to spend to get each other, and the further along it goes, you need to have trust. However you build that is fine. I've absolutely met with clients at like a Starbucks. We end up having coffee, bullshitting about stuff because I need to build rapport with them. But what you can't do is you can't have a lawyer-client relationship that begins and then a sexual or dating relationship that begins after. Now, for Shane, because he's married, he can represent his wife because the relationship predated the representation, but there's no rule that says you can't be friends. They can't prevent that. That being said, certain situations, I think it would be a real bad idea. Like in a DV case, if I was representing a victim in any capacity, I would be friendly with them, but I would certainly not cross that realm, just because I think it gets to that point of like, you get almost this weird Stockholm syndrome where like, you're saving me. So I'm going to put feelings on you that I wouldn't necessarily, like, you're a really nice guy and you're helping me out and you protected me from this thing. You're my savior. That kind of stuff I want to stay arm's length from. But if it's literally just a civil transaction, like that SRPD case we've got,
Yeah.
me and him hang out. He
yeah.
went to watch the Super Bowl together. We've gone to the casino to watch games together. He likes sports. I like sports. I took him shooting the other day. I'm friends with that guy. And I met him because of the case. But he's a cool guy that I'd be friends with otherwise.
And we've been friends with other clients that have turned into friends as well.
Much better friends.
Like our listener that we can't mention.
Yeah, we're not allowed to talk about him. Super secret squirrel stuff.
And Austin I met him through being a client.
Yeah.
You knew him before, but
Yeah, we met at the gym.
I met him through being a client. And
so you become
now
friends with
he's
people.
one of
and
my
there's
pinned text messages.
There's nothing wrong with that.
But that's
I don't know what that means.
partly because on iPhones you can pin messages on the top.
What?
Yeah. So you don't have to go find that person.
Type their name in. Fuck it.
Well-
or I just won't text them. If I can't find it quick enough, I just won't text them. Fuck them. I'm busy. I got shit to do.
All right. Well, welcome to Tangled Rights Podcast Studio.
We have a hole in the wall.
Comment. Let us know what we should put up. We're thinking. I got my hats on display.
We're gonna get.
I'm gonna keep adding those.
We're gonna get Jennifer Ferris to help us decorate
Yeah.
because she's got style,
And Grace. She's beauty and she's Grace. She's Miss United States.
poised, with elegant violence. I don't know what we're saying.
Lots of words you're saying.
I'm just saying words.
Thank you for new and improved Tangled Rights Studio.
Almost 1 year.
Let us know in the
Getting
comments
close.
what we should put
11
here.
episodes till 1 year.
Yeah, we're getting there.
In 1
I
year.
can't believe it.
Look at us. We managed to still feed ourselves with this job.
We did it.
Barely.
All right. Peace.